Hi, everyone, and welcome to another lifting show. I am Joanna Michaels, and this is Christopher Steven Jacobs. And today we're recording this on December 15th, I believe. And we actually decided that today probably would be a good day to go ahead and really kind of look at the year. Look at 2019, a kind of a year in the review, kind of see energies, what we think about them and what's occurred this year, as well as what we feel have been kind of highlights for us in our spiritual growth. And then hopefully we'll be joined by some galactics who will give us a perspective from their perspective of some of the events that have occurred this year. So we just thought we would want to do that. Let's just do a review. Mm-hmm. So in general, I would say for us, 2019 has not been uneventful.
That's an understatement, yes.
So in general, the energies have been at times quite turbulent. A lot of things have come up to be understood and to be dealt with, let go at some times, learned how to potentially be in more balance at other times. So it's been a working year. It has definitely been a working year for things like that. So what first comments do you have?
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a working year, a trying year on us, where the energies have been extremely harsh. I know at the end of 2018, that ended up with a bang because there was a lot of alien abductions and stuff like that going on at the time. The energy was fairly turbulent at that time, and you remember us saying that certain galactics and galactic groups were saying how it would iron out over a period of time. But also, you remember me saying that towards the end of 2018, I asked to speed up certain energies to get over things quicker, to get over certain humps quicker, so it wasn't drawn out over a lifetime. And asking these things.
Did you really know what you were asking for?
Basically, people don't know what they are asking for. And 2019 has been about, I'd say, 2/3 of it circling the toilet, pretty much, and at least from my perception, anyway.
You mean more out of the what you would call? I guess you would want to label it in the terms of the harshness.
The harshness of the energy,
of the experiences.
And the experiences, yeah. The very harshness of all these people leaving our side, or how we were treated. I akined it to almost being treated like lepers. It was. This is what we've experienced, everybody. This is. People would leave our side, or we would see that all along they were wearing a mask of some sort that we didn't detect before until we got past a certain energy hump. Then we were able to see the mask literally in our face most of the time. And this is how the year started. And it started actually in the first couple months. It was it eased in. And then it got more jagged, summertime, really bad, around June, July, and August, going into September. And as you heard me report on the Interstellar Council, there were times of feeling weights and everything on top of you as things were changing, morphing, transmuting, codexes being generated. Now, it's easing off just exactly like what was reported to us from the galactic community. It's actually starting to ease up. But, there's a part of me that is expecting another shoe to drop, going, wait a minute, when is it going to go again? But I know I can't think that way. But this is what's been happening this whole year. It just went ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And other people have reported this to me as well.
So one of the things we said at the end of 2018 is that we felt that a lot of 2018 was a time where people were trying to define who they were, and who am I? What am I really about? What's me and what is not me?
And then more so this year now, yeah.
And then, well, this year, what we were kind of predicting is that 2019 would be the year that you would test yourself. Am I who I say I now am? And so a lot of people were put into situations to actually say, am I actually this or am I not this? And the situation itself would kind of be not necessarily something that you would have such a contrast that you would have to say, I'm either this or that. And it would potentially cause distancing in relationships or whatever, because that's normally the way you're going to have something to counter off of, to basically say, am I this or am I that? So we said that was going to happen. We had a feeling that was going to happen.
But there's one thing saying it and another thing experiencing it.
And that is the understatement right there. So it really did pan out kind of in that predictive way. So the interesting thing is, so we'll get some specifics now. What did we learn about that we really didn't? We may have in theory knew about it, but we really didn't have a ton of experience in. One of them was the fact that we were saying that we knew that the energetics were going to change to the point where people of different frequencies were going to really notice they were not on the same page, that they were going to notice that. One way that would be occurring was something we talked about very specifically in the summer, because we had experienced it in the spring really in depth, was mask wearing. And so people would oftentimes be able to present themselves in a way and make you believe that this was their authentic self, when it really was kind of far from them being their authentic self. Sometimes the only way you're going to know someone else's authentic self is spending time with them. And one of the other things, again, on a line with this, that we really learned about was that, yes, there are certain people, there are certain beings that for a short period of time can make themselves appear, I guess the only way to say it so that you get what I'm saying is maybe more benevolent than what they really are. And for short periods of time, there is a skill that's developed that you can actually make it appear that you're one way. But when put in proximity to other energies, they can't maintain it.
No.
What amazed us, I think, is, again, we knew this existed, we knew this occurs, and we knew that it was going to become an issue, is what we didn't expect, but I am happy about. I didn't expect it, but I am, is the quickness now at which, when put in proximity with different energies, how someone else would potentially react or have an aversion to, or
a toxicity
to
it.
the energy, and they couldn't maintain it. So this is kind of where I think you're using the term, we were treated as lepers, but it's not that we were treated as leopards, but what would happen is that we would be who we are, and we really try desperately to, for the most part, be who we are right in front of the camera, as what we are not in front of the camera. And things there would be obviously rubs and problems that occurred.
A lot of rubs took place, like
within a day, people would start to, we would start to potentially have problems, and I didn't expect that.
No, not that quick, like, say you have someone that you spoke on the phone to, or something like that a lot. I'm not going to name the specific people, but everybody knows who I'm speaking about.
But it doesn't even matter, because it could be, because a lot of times now people are meeting through the internet, or people are spending maybe some time Skyping or Zooming. You're developing relationships, but you're not literally
in their energetic field.
In their energetic field.
And when our energies clashed with some of these people's energy, and there was a clash, that's when the masks started to peel away from them slightly. When you were like we were authentic around them, some of these people could not handle this, and they were not what they appeared when they were Skyping and Zooming us. They would become more their authentic selves, more they were more. Some of them were more concerned with reputation and business than they were with, say, animals or say with the earth of any kind. They were more concerned with how their reputation was being damaged, and in that, they were showing their actual true face. Before, the concern for nature and all that was a mask, came off, and we saw exactly what these people were. And we're saying this has been happening for lots of people.
Yes.
This is people have been coming to me with sessions ever since we first started talking about this. People have been coming to me going, hey, these people around me, I thought I knew them, but I really didn't. You're seeing that whole splitting of the densities. You're even staring at the person across like a void, the ones that are wearing the mask. Your energy interacts with them. It starts to come off. They either allow it to come off or they don't.
Right. And so why? Why did we experience this in such a rapid rate? Well, one of them was because it was really a part of our needed understanding in the spirituality in this, so we can bring the information out. That was kind of a big part of it as well. But we wanted to deal with people and see their authentic, true self. So just like with some people out there now, and you want to be dealing in a world where people are actually being their true, authentic self, what you have to understand is, what does that actually mean? Some people still want to hold on to a beautiful belief system, because this world is hard and can be tiring, that if everybody was their true benevolent self, and their authenticity, that it would be kumbaya and everyone would get along. That's not true. You need to have rubs. We're still growing and learning. We're not out of duality. We're growing out of it into more unity, but we're not out of it. We still need contrast.
Yeah, see, what we've been saying, like on the Interstellar Council about the duality, the system itself has technically ended, but there is an inertia and a momentum that people keep going with it because they believe that this contrast is now still, how can I put it, viable to their evolution.
And some of it will be, depending on the frequency that you're currently at, that you still need to learn in that manner until you're ready to. So it's changing, but what you need to know is drop the concept of what it looks like in your mind of what it means when people are being their authentic self, because what that actually means is that you really just see the truth standing before you, and that's honestly just what it means, instead of some mask or something like that. And then you can make the decisions again, with trillions and trillions and numbers big enough that of people and entities in the world. Do you have to hang out with everybody? No. You're going to choose the ones that are probably a little bit more closer to your frequency and this, that, and the other. And it varies. Even, I'm sure, when the galactics come in, it's all over the place. So that is what we're talking about. You want to have the opportunity to really see things for how they are, without the pretense, without the mask, without the whatever, so you can make decisions of what is for your highest good.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's simple. So it's not a judgmental statement. So for us this year, we had a series of events that occurred where we thought maybe certain partnerships could form, which would have been for our highest good and for hopefully dominoing effect into higher good for many others. And it didn't pan out. And it didn't pan out because we really weren't on the same frequency. Yeah. And we didn't know that until the mask dropped. So it's really kind of that simple. No judgment, no whatever. It's just, we had to move on, and we made the decision that some of the things we said about ourselves personally at the end of 2018 were really who we were. And then again, we went through certain experiences that, for me personally, I can say, I was who I said I was. I didn't want certain things. I didn't want to be certain places. And maybe aligning with some of this would have put me in situations that I really didn't want to be in.
Exactly.
And so we had the opportunity to see within ourselves, are we really who we say we are? And so that situation, in my humble opinion, was big for a lot of people in 2019, beginning that process and that understanding, and again, being able to move forward, not in judgment, but just what is for your highest good and what do you want to be doing. And it's still going on. I don't want to say it's over. It's not. The difference, I think, between now and the first part of the year is that when, if these situations come up now, we've had more experience in it, that it's not as, let's say, traumatizing. It becomes more of a, nope, this isn't going to work out. Let me get out of this as quick as possible.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be able to get away from the situations that are toxic. You be able to recognize them more, the more of them you experienced. And did we experience an extreme overabundance of it? Yes, we did. But it actually was beneficial to identifying the different types of energies and things and people and masks that we do not want to be associated with.
Right. And toxic to us, again, when we use the terms, I'm not judging anybody. People have a right to be where they are. People have the right to do what they want. Toxic meaning, so I'll define it, that it's not good for me. This is not a situation that is going to be good and healthy for my growth. That's what we mean by toxic. When we say toxic and we're talking about other people, I'm not condemning them and I'm not trying to judge them. I'm just saying toxic means it's not good for me and it's not good for my spiritual growth. And everyone has to discern that. And then if you can just let go. So that is the next part of, I think, the biggest thing of this year that a lot of people have been facing, a lot of within the energies, is the art of letting go. And what does that really mean? Because when you really let go of something, you're not dwelling on it all the time. You're not rehashing it. You think you're fine, you go a few days, and then you're back for the next few days rehashing everything. If you're doing that, you're not letting go. You're bringing it back in. And along with potentially bringing back in those thoughts, we learned that you actually can yourself it's almost like sending out a fishing line, sending out a fishing line and hooking back into those potential energies that you actually don't want to be a part of. But who did it? You actually did it yourself. You're the one that's now dwelling on it, and you're the one now sending out that fishing line. So the art of letting go of things really means becoming at peace with events, trying to let go of judging yourself and judging others, and really being able to see it from a perspective that not everything is always supposed to work out. It's choices. What is good for me and what is not. And even if you feel strongly that you were really hurt and wrong, that it was harsh, how do you let go of that so you yourself won't keep re-entangling in that? So we've talked about that some this year. Very important skill for everyone to learn, how to let go. So do you have any comments on that?
Well, I've also noticed, where also there are other beings out there that try to get you to over-amplify. Say if you were hurt by a person or set of people in any respect, they're counting on these negative entities are counting on you not letting it go, and to rehook you into their energy so they can turn around and re-amplify it and stagnate you. And that's a tactic they've been using. They've been doing the whole fishing line. So if you're rehashing something in your thoughts, granted, they could be replaying the tape recorder to get it to manifest or rehook, but the fact that it's there is something they can hook on. That's actually that's an Achilles heel. So you have to do that appropriate inner work and get rid of whatever this thing is that they're hooking onto. Once you get rid of things that they're hooking onto, you can actually get rid of them out of your presence. I've noticed this quite often. That also sometimes you do have to remove the negative entity in order for somebody to actually see that, because they're going to actually also to get somebody to displace it outside of themselves, thinking that it's completely artificially based from themselves, and that's not completely true. So letting go of this junk is actually detrimental, this toxicity, or as Viking always puts it, a virus in your DNA. That's also from your lineage. That's another thing you got to let go of, is anything that lineage-based programming that comes out. Like, say your father did something, or your mother did something, or some other ancestor did something, and now you have some traits that have leached into here and now. This is another thing to get rid of that clashes with these new energies, more so than ever before. It's going to push out past life. That's another thing. It's going to push out all of this. And it's going to seem like it's one big overwhelming blob, unless you can differentiate and let go of the things that you know and that are tangible, say with toxic people or perceived toxic people, and energies that split off from you, and people that are wearing masks. That's a major way of being able to discern these different energies. Any energies that do not serve you in the here and now, just declare that they're not part of you anymore. Work on those particular traits that you don't feel are you. Like, say, if it's a trait from an ancestor. If it's a trait that you don't always have to have the exact sight that I do. It's more of a feeling where you're just letting go of traits, certain traits going, wait a minute, that's not who I actually am. That could have belonged to an ancestor or something through the genetic line. I don't need that. And even by declaring that, it's not instant pudding, but it's a way to actually start to purge those undesirable traits. People always say, "Oh, what you've inherited, you inherited that from your father." Yeah, but you can also transmute that trait if it's not something that your soul wishes to maintain in this energy. It is possible. I'm not saying that it is easy. I'm saying it's possible, and it is very doable, and it is actually very daunting. And this is something that people will have to work on, but it is actually a doable thing and most necessary in these energies. And are these energies speeding that process up? You bet it is. And it's making everybody take another look at themselves. We've mentioned this on Patreon. I've also mentioned this on the Galactic Interstellar Council a lot of times. You've probably got tired of me telling about inner work on the Interstellar Council every friggin' week, but this is something that also I was told to rehash over and over and over again so that it sinks in. Hey, start it with yourself. You want that Star Trek world? You want that world where we're going to the moon, Mars, all that, those places? You have to create it in here first and transform the environment around you by not staying in this lull, by not letting certain traits overwhelm you, not letting toxic people overwhelm you, and recognizing if their mask is indeed a mask, or if they're being their authentic self, and also if that energy, regardless of either mask or authentic self, is applicable to your own energy. And this is this is a major lesson we've learned this year. If I could title this year, or label this year with anything, it is that. If I could label, I mean, we had good stuff happen this year. I'm not going to say it was a complete shit year. I'm not going to actually say that.
It wasn't, but it was challenging.
Yeah, it was challenging is an understated word, but if I could label it with anything, it's basically the year of inner review. What it was.
Which is kind of which is what we were saying was going to happen. You were going to be challenging yourself to basically, is this who I am? Mm-hmm. Now, again, you could have come up with the decisions that you challenged yourself. You saw some things and you changed your mind. But there's nothing wrong with that. So you could have changed your mind. But it was going to be a year for people to start seeing certain things, for them to then make more of a decision of who they were. So really a strong inner work kind of year that this has been. Now, just to switch gears a little bit, one of the things, and I'm going to say this, and we never even said this earlier, but I think it's important to bring up. One of the things that I think I noticed, hopefully you'll agree with me, we're going to talk about kind of the media, television, movies. Now, we've said before, and we still stand by the fact that is not a clean area, that there's still a lot of manipulation that happens in that area. However, I will say that what I have seen this year is, again, more steps towards acknowledging certain things that we talk about, like potential beings around you and potential beings that are negativity. I know the Travel Channel has a lot of shows on it right now that have to do with either ghost hunting or different things. And that's been, some of that's been on a while. What's starting to change, and you see a little bit more actively, is the types of beings that they feel that they are running across. They're not necessarily afraid to admit that it may not be human looking.
Yes.
And it may not be your typical just demon, that it really could be a potential alien species, or
they're starting to integrate that in now.
These things are starting to come out into the conversation. So we see, again, just throwing that out there for the people at large. So obviously now we're talking about the people at large, not just those people that follow our work, that there is more acknowledgement and more information coming out to kind of baby step that maybe your perception of the world is bigger than what you currently know. And I don't mean the world, I mean everything. Even alluding to, again, there's so much more in the light spectrum that we don't see. So these conversations are starting to allude. Another show that I think this year that tried to broker more of a, moving from more of a, this is archaeology, this is what we're seeing, and we're questioning what it really is, to more of theory and the potentials of what's out there, was a simple show that a lot of people watch on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens. That's probably one of the most popular shows out there that more people, and this season they've changed a little bit, with bringing out more of this potential theory. And we will say that some of the things that we've actually spoken about in years past is starting to show up in some of that theory. So I find it interesting because, again, the area is not free and clear, but there still is information starting to come out to slowly have people expand their minds, on the possibilities. And so on other areas, more internet-based, we've seen that as well. More discussion about the possibilities of what's actually going on out there. And so for me, I'm happy to see it, as well as, honestly, I just have to personally say, it's a nice validation when you hear other people talk about things that you've been talking about. And so it feels a little less lonely.
And also they're having more SSP insiders come out. They're having more people that have experienced aliens and other entities come out.
Yeah.
This seems to be the year for that, where people are coming
forward.
out.
I mean, not perfect. We're not saying all the information, in our opinion, is 100%. We still do believe that there will be an attempt to let information come out in a controlled ways to benefit certain people, and either to make it appear that their perspective and they have the experience and they need to be the ones truly in control. And we feel there is, and so I'm talking about it now, obviously trying to break down some of it, that mindset of trying to control the masses in their thoughts about, let's say, what's really out there, or our abilities, or whatever, it's still controlled, and people will still try to manipulate it. So there's still going to be the personal growth of discernment out there. And so people, again, there's no way around it. You have to discern the information. Do not trust who's delivering it. It doesn't matter who's delivering it. Again, we've always said that there is no human that is 100% infallible right now. It's just not there. We certainly don't claim to be infallible. And then when we learn from something, we let you guys know. And there is no one. So you have to learn to discern the information that's coming through. Does this feel right, or does this not feel right? However, I am actually quite happy to see the movement forward of more information coming out in the media regularly to kind of forward the conversation.
Yeah, I'm actually very thankful for that as well. You know, if my grandfather were still alive, he was in a lot of the background government stuff and everything. You know, I know from spirit form he's seeing a lot of this, but if he were sitting watching a lot of this and you know, if he were still in human form, he would definitely see a lot of the stuff he was involved in coming out in a lot of these different shows, and a lot of the people from that time frame that actually knew about a lot of this that was really, really secret. And we're freely talking about stuff like this, like energy collection, for instance. Like we ran into that I won't mention his name here, but we met that person in Missouri that basically said 50 years prior, if he had mentioned one iota of this, he'd have been stoned. So we're actually, it's freer to actually speak about a lot of this and not have some man in black show up at your door. I've noticed there's some people that have commented to me, you know, why haven't you encountered a lot of this? And yeah, we have encountered a little bit of it, but not to the extent it would have been back in the 90s or the 80s. Where people were, you know, would disappear over even mentioning a little bit like this. The energies are freeing up more, that less of that behavior is tolerated, you see, and we're able to talk about this stuff a lot more and bring out the information we want to bring out in a timely fashion that we want to bring it out in. And I've noticed that is freeing up a lot more. You know, people always ask me, you know, somebody asked me the other day, why haven't you been like assassinated by now? You know, and I said, because the energies aren't allowing for that. I mean, granted, there are going to be some of those anomalies in there where that still happens, or if it's a false flag where they're trying to keep people in a fear state or something like that, where, oh, this person got killed for saying too much. Just to be frank with everybody, that's not really happening hardly at all as much as you think it is. Most of it is just bloviating right now. The majority of it happened back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it's a lot of what you're hearing about these people were silenced, all that other stuff. Anything after that was either very minimal or just them blowing smoke.
So on the flip side of potentially your experiences this year is you may have run into people that, you know, you thought you knew, this is different, I have to distance myself. However, people are getting more and more confident to just talk. And that's a wonderful thing. So if you are actually bringing certain things up and talking, you may be finding that you are finding people that are open to either what you're saying. They may not be having the same experiences, but they're not shut down to the information. So we're you know, finding that. I am definitely finding that with people that seem to be coming my way with who don't really know what I'm a part of, but just in brief conversation, it kind of opens the door to, you know, be having some of these conversations, to be able to share experiences that others can just benefit from, and their life becomes better in that, again, not grandiose way, but person to person, basic conversations that people are now beginning to broker with family members or just friends. Or, you know, you could hear someone's having a problem and you really may feel there be something spiritual or negative unwanted attention, and for some reason you're feeling pulled to just say, you know, what is your belief in this? And if they're not closed down to it, to maybe say something that really could begin to help them in a positive way. We've seen that movement as well. So it's an interesting dynamic, but that would go along with what we refer to as the separation of densities. Closing the doors and letting go of what no longer serves you in frequency, which then opens up and allows for other things that are good for you to come in. And so I am hopeful that, you know, some of you will say, just like us, you've seen both sides of this. The harsh, when you don't want to let go, you never thought you'd be letting go of something that you are letting go of. And then to be able to open the door to new, fresher, experiences that are kind of regenerating now for you, bring in more hope that you are growing in a good way and you can now express that. And so I feel probably more of that opportunity you're going to see, and you're going to see more of it. And again, I have to thank the media for part of it. This is now being discussed in open media, and as more it's more discussed, people are more and more talking about it around the water coolers. So and then they're actually freeing themselves up to probably talk about things that have been on their hearts for quite a long time. So all of that is going on. I think the more positive parts of it are breaking open right now, as far as some of these experiences on a positive note. And the other experience that we had a lot of is this exact same conversation, but let's now apply it to the galactics. So we've had the exact same experiences with seeing through, let's say, masks of the galactics, learning when something that may appear to be kind on your side or whatever really is more messing with you, and you get confused for a while. So all of the same types of things that were happening on a human-to-human level are happening actually everywhere. And from what we hear from some of the galactics as well, what we've heard of is they themselves in that galactic community have been, let's say, again, I don't know a better way to say it, let's say call it separation of densities. Other galactics making their choices. Where do they want to be? What is their philosophy? What do they want to be a part of and support versus what they don't? And that kind of effects have been going on out there as well. And to some surprises. So I know that in some of the conversations, again, some of the galactics are surprised what some of the choices of their own fellow galactics.
Yep.
It's just been a surprise. But again, people are doing, or galactics are doing what they're drawn to do and being more of their authentic self for everyone to see. So we've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
And it really is, especially if you've been dealing with somebody a lot, and then you start to see their, let's call it their mask falling off. I don't know how else to say it. It really can be confusing and discombobulating, don't you think? It takes a while to figure out what's going on.
Oh yeah. If things are happening around you, it takes you a moment. That some of these beings want you to be in a state of confusion and not understand what is going on. They want you to actually always think that it is always you, or to take it on in some way. And yes, as we've said, there's some inner work that needs to be done that they're latching onto, but there's external abuse that's done as well, and external trickery, and a lot of discernment that needs to take place. Even beings that I channeled in the past, to name a few, Simeon, Tyler, Sebastian. Tyler and Sebastian being a couple of the biggest two liars that I've ever run into. And I am calling them out right now because there's some things that they told me that I eventually figured out I was being led down the garden path of, and they have led other people down the garden path of, oh, the earth is going to be evacuated, saved. The aliens are going to come down and get rid of all business and money and blah, 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 blah. And Tyler was probably one of the most guilty of it. But if there was any benevolence of what he did at all, is that it taught me not to take them at face value. And I'm using him as an example because I felt his energy around very recently, not today, but very recently watching me. Now, if he was a teacher designed to actually give me all the BS information and then realize it was BS information, him and his brother. Sebastian was the one that gave me the infamous disclosure date, if everybody remembers that Diamond show.
But that was how many years ago?
Yeah, that was at least 3 years ago.
3 to 4 years ago?
Yeah, they were the ones that he was the one that gave me the infamous disclosure date. Tyler was the one that actually gave me the more we're coming in to rescue people message. He was the one that did the BS on that side. But if they taught me anything, probably it's something they didn't intend, or they did intend it. They just threw me a bunch of lies just to see if I could adapt past this. But the last time I heard from either one of them, well, Sebastian was more here in Prescott. Tyler was more out on the East Coast. That I last I heard from him. but I just had this huge feeling that it was a mixture of truth and BS with those beings. Simeon being one of the worst ones of all time, because I knew him from when I was like 3 to 5 years old. So,
and that's important to say, because there are people that are adults now that have had guides with them since they were children.
Yes.
And it's a hard pill to swallow, just like with learning about any family member who may not be who they really appear to be. Sad to say that it has happened, but it's not new. And that, this type of, let's call it a tactic, because I don't know what else to call it. This type of tactic to bring someone in and start trying to mold them and get them to be groomed to your agenda, let's say, that's been going on for eons, people. That's been going on. It's been happening. It's certainly happened to those who end up, let's say, in a position of power. I'm not saying there have never been benevolent people in power. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the tactic to try and manipulate people. Now, in the world that we're talking, it would be no different than saying, oh, you guys, we all know we have a problem, because if you are elected into the federal government as an official Senate representative, then all of the money starts to follow you, and you slowly turn into your benefactors, and honor their will and corporations or whatever versus the will of the people.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slow transition that occurs this over a lifetime, again, to get somebody to actually be working towards the agenda of someone else and not necessarily the agenda they came in for. So this has happened to a lot of people over a lot of centuries, and now what is happening at a greater level is humans are starting to discover that. So one of the things that along this line, again, we talk about it because we know whatever's happening to us is not just happening to us. So we know that. And we also know there are no gurus. There is not a 100% perfect, hasn't had experiences, or isn't being potentially controlled human on this earth. So we want to break down that conversation that people right now are having, that, seers or whatever, you need to be 100% perfect, because they're not, period. Mm-hmm. And if they are pretending to be, that's a big red flag, period. Mm-hmm. And you need to not be as harsh on them as you potentially are. I'll give you one reference for people that have seen the movie The Matrix. Because in The Matrix, there was an oracle. What I found interesting about the oracle was the oracle actually spoke the truth. The oracle would actually provide information, but she always kept saying, I'm hoping you're going to decide what you need to do for yourself.
Yeah, basically.
And they would said it over and over again. Yes, I see, information, but isn't the goal that you make your decisions for yourself? And, that you're not, basically dependent on me. I may give you pieces of information that will help make your decision a little more clear for you, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. You are supposed to. And that is actually really how it is. There is personal responsibility and personal growth that is supposed to occur. And your job is to take in information that may be coming from someone who is trying to be as benevolent as they can and as honest and straightforward as they can with the information they're receiving, but it is your job to decide whether or not the information is 100% for you, or maybe it may not be, and you have to decide that. You cannot completely just follow somebody like a little puppy and let them be making all the decisions for you. The energies are not going to allow that anymore. Less and less seers are trying to make prediction dates. Mm-hmm. I think the last prediction date we did was more of a range, that it seems that the energies are moving for some significant events to occur between 5 and 30 years. And that's not a little amount of time.
No.
But we're going with what we see as the energetic possibilities, but all of the possibilities have to do with the co-creative will of people. And so you can't necessarily say this moment, because at a blink of an eye, that could change within the human collective consciousness. Mm-hmm. So with all of that, and we've said a lot. We've kind of been really only on a couple of threads, though, as far as what we believe are some of the biggest things that we and others in the energies. And we are in a time of energetics that for us feels more calm. Whether or not it feels calm to you is probably dependent on your own personal growth.
And if you've plateaued in that area or not.
Yeah, if you have. Some people may still be having a lot of turbulence because they're working through things. Some people may not have had any turbulence in part of the year because they made a decision that they were going to stay where they were, and there's no judgment and there's no right or wrong. But we're just kind of reporting how it's been and how it's been, for us. So I was hoping, as we try to do on the lifting show, that maybe somebody would be willing to come in with a galactic perspective of the energies and kind of looking at the year and what they feel are some significant things that have happened, not just to humanity, but what's happened out there that's kind of been or what 2019 would be remembered for if they kept linear time.
I'd like to say there were some groups around willing to talk, but it's turning out that it was during this time there was an insectoid group that's been trying to intervene here that has talk about dishonest entities and dishonest galactics. I'm not saying all insectoid groups, but they have been extremely prevalent lately. They've been really wishy-washy, bipolar, pendulum swing this year. This is another group that's gone all over the place, and where you can't know where they stand. And also, having called Tyler out, I can feel his presence, actually. I don't know if his brother Sebastian's here. Also, an old adversarial entity has shown up, too, Magnus.
Really?
Yeah, I sense his presence, too. It seems, okay, there's a point I think Source is trying to make with this. These are the beings. Oh, hello, Simeon. Mm-hmm. I see you. Get away from me. Okay, let's see. Back. No. What Source is trying to make, I'm asking Source audit this transmission as of this moment in time, true benevolent Source creator at this moment. And keep these beings at a distance, please. Showing, I understand what's being presented here. Of all these beings, these deceptive beings at war, masks. I'm seeing Tyler, Sebastian, Simeon / running horse / K, whatever gender you want to be, you can do it over there, gender, mask, short, tall, color, don't care. Hair color, black, blonde, don't care. Just, it's your intention. Over here, I'm seeing insectoid groups. I'm seeing Syrian groups.
Oh, we forgot to talk about them.
Yeah,
that
Syrian
was actually,
groups, yeah.
Again, one of the big discoveries we had was really the impact of the Syrian groups. And, even those that have kind of taken up shop in Agartha areas. And again, we were told about their agenda. They were really the ones, again, people that want to disclose the rate at which humans grow, and they don't want to lose their potential seat of I hate to use the word domination control, but I honestly don't know another word to use to describe it accurately. So again, you come up with a plan, an agenda to try and create a one world religion with these benevolent beings who are actually the ones that will lead the way and help guide and save us through all of this.
There's another form of that, like Tyler wanted to save, Sebastian wanted to give disclosure times.
Yeah.
This Syrian group wanted to actually, their justification was to, like you said, meld it into one.
Meld it into one. And so when we left Washington State this past year, and honestly, I swear to God, we just bumble along not knowing. So in the path that we were taking, we were going to visit someone in California, and we went by Mount Shasta, right?
Mount Shasta, yes.
We didn't know we were going to go by Mount Shasta. All of a sudden, before we saw Mount Shasta, literally, because of the way the road turns and there's mountains, we were like, wow, this really is starting not to feel good. This is, wonder what's going on over here. And then all of a sudden, it's like the road gets to a right spot and you're staring out Mount Shasta. And we weren't even sure, so I think we looked it up on our phone, but then a sign came and we're like, holy crap, we're going by Mount Shasta. But it feels like crap. And then here, you were picking up on the Syrian group.
And not only that, Moses and I discovered the big spider entity that was covering that part of the whole big part of the map that was scanning people genetically and energy-wise that go through not only that area, but a big chunk of that part of the country. And we discovered that. You and I had felt something there, but he'd actually seen it.
Well, that's my point, because after that occurred and some people listened to us and everything, they were like, good for them. They're like, well, I'm going to go see for myself. And they did. Some people made trips over there to find out, oh my God, I cannot believe what has happened to this place. Because it wasn't always like that. It was not always like that. The stories of Mount Shasta going there to have a really beautiful, authentic, beautiful, let me put this that way.
Not holographic,
but an authentic, beautiful experience there was actually real. And then it basically got changed over and then became a part of the experiences that this particular group was heading to try again push the agenda that they currently have and still are trying to pursue, because I don't think there's anything that we have noticed that is making us change our mind that they're not trying to pursue it, to try and deliver us from the perceived evil that they want you to see so that they can be the deliverers.
Yes, and also those that camp out on Mount Shasta. I'm not dumping on the different mediums and the different psychics that have brought people up there for the mystical experience that people are expecting. But you stay the night there, next day you feel like crap, congratulations, you were just probed by aliens and military. So, I say that jokingly, but I've seen this in several people's reads that they have gone up there for this mystical experience. And this Syrian group has schmoozed them the entire time. And Greys, you can't forget them. And there are a few of them out here too. Different kinds too, potato head looking ones, little robot looking ones, basically any enemy type that we've gotten rid of, they're basically staring us down at the moment.
So where are we? So again, we're bringing up that specifically because now we have garnered the attention of people who are maybe not so happy that they are being called out. Yeah. We wouldn't have called you out, Syrian, but you showed up, and now all of a sudden it reminded us to go ahead and call you out.
And Tyler and Sebastian, we wouldn't have called you out if you had. I wouldn't have called you out had you not BS'd me for 3 or 4 years.
So the point is, so guess what, folks? This is now actually kind of a change within us that's occurred over the year. I don't think maybe we were intimidated before. Maybe we were a little bit more concerned about, perceptions, and maybe we were a little bit more concerned. But in our heart of hearts, we know we're supposed to talk about it all. The good, the bad, the not so good. We're supposed to be really kind of, honest about the experiences and what are going on, because that type of honesty currently hasn't really been occurring. So, it needs to occur so people can open their mind and be prepared more for what is really out there. However, I'm not shaking in my boots at all, surrounded by these people.
No, it's oppressive, but I know the reaction they're wanting out of us. But usually in the past, being surrounded by this many assholes, I would be going, but no.
Right, and that's the point, because, you're going to experience this and you're going to realize in your own personal sovereignty that they really don't have really much power over you. Your decisions really are your own. You basically, if you feel it and you feel the energy, put your protection on. If you need to push back a little energetically, push back. Again, Chris has been helping people. Unfortunately, he at times has to, in the kind way, we'll call it transmutation, have to transmute certain energies because it really is impeding on somebody's spiritual growth. And he provides that service, obviously. But to be afraid of this, No, that type of intimidation in these energies, people are working through, and they're not as intimidated by it anymore, and they're able to take their steps forward still in a ways of feeling sovereign and valued. Because one of the things that has occurred, so much programming is for you to think that you don't matter and you're not really important. Everyone is important, everyone. And so, you know, another thing that happened a lot in the transition with a lot of these guides was you realized, are you putting me down? Are you actually calling me a name? Are you actually treating me like a father who's somewhat maybe crossing over to be abusive and trying to be mentally distorting? Well, really? You're my guide? We used to accept that because it was done in a lot of the churches as a part of their doctrine, that you would be, you know, cast aside, you would be talked down to, you would be told how bad you were, you would be ostracized, you would be this, that, and the other. So it became almost an acceptable way of treating somebody in the society at large. And so that type of mental abuse makes you question yourself. Maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I'm not this or that. And so the tactics are actually out there, and we'll be talking about this. We're going to do a whole show on something we call gaslighting, and we're going to talk about this more in depth on another show, and no one is going to stop that. So just let you guys know, no one is going to stop that show. And so we're going to talk about this more. But the point being that many of you, just like us, are growing past this. Now, we're spending more of our time trying to co-create what we want to see the world to be, instead of being intimidated and stagnated by those who want their agenda only, and for us to help co-create their agenda. So it's not like that. So this is the big thing about 2019, where you began and where you ended. Where we've ended is that we're more secure in who we are. We're more secure in what we want. We are less afraid, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
And we are intent on bringing out what we feel is supposed to be brought out as a part of what we want to contribute to this world. And we hope many of you are starting to really feel your personal sovereignty and are starting to actually be willing to truly let that show. And that will do nothing but bring us all closer to what we're really looking to bring into this world and this experience.
Yes, and I've while we've been talking, I've been watching where these beings are on the perimeter, or on the I want to say on the perimeter, on the closer to where there's several tree stumps that are close to us. That several of them are. And Lucifer just got put into that category now, too, off in the background there. Then him, and also a lot of something else I wanted to talk about that was actually been prevalent too. Programmed individuals that I personally have had to encounter this year. Programmed ones that are aiming like specific taunting at me, or specific, hurtfulness at me, or of that kind of nature. We'll go into more in depth in the gaslighting episode about that, but that's also been very prevalent this year with me, even with strangers too. Strangers, other people we know, everything like that. We've been running into that, and I know you guys are trying to discombobulate me, so I'm not going to fall for it. There's like this strange field that's appearing out here. But this was done as I don't want to say lesson. Lesson is too harsh a word. It's more of a seeing my higher essence, seeing if I could adapt to a situation like that I'm in, and I'm perfectly calm and still able to describe these things to you, even though it is getting increasingly more oppressive. So
and only oppressive right here. So the one thing for those of you that can look at these videos and feel energies, what I am doing is I'm not focusing on what's literally around us.
I'm keeping them at bay here.
But what I can feel, and I hope maybe some of you, if you try to feel this whole experience and move beyond it, is the way more beings that are out a little bit further in the distance, and Helios and different ones, that are actually showering in their love and compassion. And actually, they're pretty proud of us right now for continuing this and just going ahead and doing it anyway. Yes. So that energy, let me tell you, is way more powerful than what is actually within this 30 feet of us right now. And so, these others in my mind they just don't exist. Mm-hmm. So, think of that as well. When you're ever around something and you're feeling the impression and you're feeling like the world is, what's around you, the 20 to 30 feet of it is really putting in the pressure. Pull yourself out, and you're going to see way more that is actually showering in love and compassion and has faith that you will notice them and you will notice the love and the compassion more than to succumbing to what is really just standing there right behind you, because that force is way more powerful than these beings who really are, I hate to say it, they're nothing to us anymore. So, that's the message here that we would want to get out, that no, you're way more than you think you are, and you can pull your perspective and your consciousness and grow it to really get a better perspective, to see that these are people around us that are potentially in desperation, and really they just need to go off into an area where they can be happy, which won't be around us. I can just put it to you that way.
Yeah, the closest group is right here. There's a tree maybe 5, 6, 7 feet from me here. Right here, that's where the closest one is, and the rest are off. There's a bathroom building and a parking lot off this way. The most of them are over there. There's some off that way. They think they have us surrounded, and it's like, no, you really don't. I see what they're attempting to do, but in their attempt to elicit a response here, the most we have been doing is trying to explain calmly the situation that is actually going on. Would I open myself up right now as of this moment with these beings around? No. You got to know when you can open yourself up in an environment. Even though we're in nature, we're in this park here, and this is usually a perfect location to do the channeling. I know the forest people and other benevolent elementals allowed this to happen, to show this and put this in our face so that we can actually see who is our friend and who isn't. The ones that have worn masks, the ones that have used programming, the ones that have used gaslighting, the ones that have used any of this type of manipulation, either in a heroic way or in a belligerent way. And I'm seeing both that have tried to herald me as some kind of public hero, like you see in the old myths, like Hercules being the hero of the people, or Samson doing the will of God, going after the Philistines, what have you. Or on the flip side, the abused, downtrodden, beaten, warrior, still trying to turn me into the hero of the people, sort of thing. That's what these people here that are watching are all representing at the moment to me, trying to turn me into something that I am actually not, or trying to steer me in according to their agenda. I'm not saying all galactics are this way. I've met a lot of beautiful groups out there, a lot of ones that want our salvation, but at our own hand. So these guys would make you think, oh, they are the saviors. There's even a fake Jesus and a fake Michael out here. Nice one, guys. Okay, let's see. They are the saviors. They're going to save you from your sins. They're going to save you from your bills. They're going to save you from natural disasters. National ones too, political ones as well. But these are all puppet shows, folks. These beings here that are on the periphery are actually responsible for those things. And the fact that they've even come at us right now, actually trying to distract, now we can actually call them out. Magnus, he's more the false religious prophet right here, the religious hero of the people, the Van Helsing of the Vatican right here. You got Simeon, who's the handler, but then tries to play the benevolent guide and master. You got Tyler, who is the savior of society right here. You got the master of disclosure, Sebastian, fake Michael Jesus. That whole Syrian group right there, basically trying to steer the entire planet towards their pole shifting agenda. and trying to convince people Planet X is going to kill everyone. So you got them. Can't forget them. And you got the insectoid group who just like to put people to sleep. And put implants in their teeth and nose. So you got them, and you can't forget the Greys and the big-headed Orions. I see you over there. So you got all their group variations over there as well, including a couple of their second-generation ones that are actually quite annoying me at the moment. But the reason I'm calling them all out, now grounding this into the benevolent earthly Akesh, is this is why Source wanted this. This is why also the benevolent galactics and benevolent elementals wanted this. To end with this crescendo, grounding this information so fully at the end of this year, before we cross into next year, that this is going to be less of an issue in the following year and the years to come, because of the fact that it is actually being spoken about, being grounded, being broadcast. This is what I'm getting actually an actual legitimate confirmation to that. Even with them around, I'm still able to pick up on that.
Because, you know, you just expand past it.
Yeah, what I'm doing is...
I'm not saying leave your body, never leave your body, but you can expand past it.
Expand past all of these different beings. And I'm actually feeling my energy staying at a high level despite the dozens of different bad guys that are around.
You can feel the pressure. You can feel the pressure
definitely.
here. You can feel it.
Here.
But you know, even though you may be feeling some of this, there's still a part of you that you feel is greater than, and you're feeling a connection to, you know, what you're really looking for is more like-minded, and you know they're there, and you know they're around, and you know even through this there's still some protection. That's the goal of where you need to be, so that you can still keep walking irregardless of this, and you know what to do within yourself to continue walking it. And then you walk down and they're going to part, because you're going to walk down and they are going to part. It's just the way that it's going to be, and it is where we're meant to go. So in the years to come, and the energies in the years to come, you know, although we're preparing ourselves to see some of these beings, our expansion within our eyesight and frequency, so that we can see more and see what's more around us, that will be, of course, continuing to occur. But what also will be continuing to occur is the fact that we will, as a human race, have to then decide, when is this a human-on-human issue? Because for many people, there is still a feeling that once things like this leave us, again, all humans are going to be on the same page. That's not going to be true. It certainly won't be as hard to transition and to unify when some of this overage is actually gone from you. It's not going to be as hard as when it's there. But we are going to have to face things that we don't necessarily want to face, which is potentially, you know, humans just being mean because they want to. Or just, you know, trying to dominate and control, not because of something else, but because they want to. And we're going to have to face some of these things that we don't want to see in our fellow human beings, even as a true possibility. We wanted to believe that it was always something else, and that's just not true. So we aren't done. There's a lot of unraveling still to be done. There's a lot of things we need to see. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made so that we are all working on the same timeline. They're going to be humans that are going to want to try and push an agenda. It's just going to be there. But believe me, what is occurring now in the energetics is the lessening of the interference of others that you don't see.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, have in the past few days, has there been a lot of jumbled energies? Even as of today, there's been a little bit in jumbled energies with also friends of ours as well. But yeah, it's affecting me less and less. Yeah, and like I said, I would have been freaked out being around this many of the enemy before. But I'm really not. I'm actually more in a calmed state. Before, I would have demanded the camera get shut off and we're going to go on our way and go and do something, hide in our room or something. But this, no. And I'm seeing a lot of them departing too, because they're not getting any headway. They're not getting anywhere. So they're being called out by name in some cases. I don't know all your names, but I don't really want to either. But this is interesting. They're actually leaving, and it's like the Earth is actually ushering them away. I can feel the Earth energies actually kind of ushering them out of this area. Kind of like, okay, you've had your moment in the sun, had your moment trying to drag people into the shadows. Now it's not your time anymore. And that's why I want to specify. It's not their time, nor has it ever been their time.
But now they're known, and it's really
now they're known, and it's our time now. This is as a sovereign human race. This is our time. No saviors. No one going to bail us out of money, bills, politics, war. That's our job. And it's not our business getting dragged into any of their conflicts. If they want to come in peace, come in peace. But it's also our business to deal with our business down here first, clean up our world, make friends with the beings that want to make friends with us down here, like the forest people, have better relations with each other, and leave these particular negative assholes to their business. So, and they're going to fade into the background. This is their last hurrah, their last crescendo to try to drag us into this. And I know you've heard me say that before, but it is true. It's a gradual coming to an energetic crescendo. Can they leach into those other densities and frequencies briefly to try to go boogie boogie at you? Yes. But it's actually getting far less frequent than I even see at Draco. And I was just discussing this with somebody the other day. I am seeing less and less Draco. Yes, the forest people have a lot to do with that. I'm thanking them for that. But it also has to do with frequency changes as well, and density changes and timeline changes. We're entering a timeline where these beings are having a harder and harder time coming in. And yes, there are negative ones in what we would call 5D as well, where they're using technology to stay in. And yes, there's no duality anymore, but there's still bad choices. I want to specify that again as well. It's not going to be kumbaya going into 5D. It's just less of this aggravation over this overage. But you still would have the human dynamics. You would have people interacting with each other, learning, and also you still have some of the old hatreds that have to be shed, the old religious beliefs that have to be shed, the old ways of being that have to be shed. It's not like it goes, okay, stop. Unless that person wants to plateau and they're perfectly happy, they're different story. Mm-hmm. That's a completely different story. So I wanted to end on that note. Thankfully, all these beings are gone. The Earth is back to a steady state here.
Yeah, the pressure and the trust is leaving. And so, again, leaving on a positive note, take the time to reflect on yourself for this past year and look at yourself. Look at you in the beginning and look at yourself now and pat yourself on the back because you are doing it. I think it may not be going as fast for some people as they want, but I think for many of you, you're going to see the you that was in the beginning versus you now, that there has been growth. And just continue on with what you're doing. And we're right there with you because we're experiencing it right along with you. And we'll continue to talk about it to keep, hopefully in the end to just inspire and to let you know that you are actually so much more than you could ever imagine. And we're just starting to take the first baby steps really into understanding that. So with that, I do, wish you guys, a wonderful holiday season that we're in right now. Try to look into the fellowship of it if you have it. Just be kind to one another. Open doors for people for no reason, and just show people who you really are. Yeah. And so with that, I think we're done.
We're done. Okay, we're done for today. So this was actually been a good episode of the lifting, basically testing the waters to see where we currently are in this year in review. So thank you for everybody for watching this episode of Lifting. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.